Okay, this is our last presentation at DecisionCAMP before my closing remarks. And we already heard several case studies and real-world use cases, in particular about real-time decisioning. And our presenters now from FocalCXM, and Adi and his colleagues. Adi is a co-founder and CEO of FocalCXM, and they are passionate about delivering remarkable customer experience. And today, he and his colleagues will share their experience in building decision microservices, rules-based decision microservices, to support sales and marketing teams in real time. Okay, Adi.
Thank you, Jacob.
Go ahead.
Thank you for having us at the event, and we'll try to keep it interesting with some examples. And my name is Adithya, go by Adi, based out of Northern Virginia. Happy to be here. Along with me, we have Sriharsha and Venkat. Sriharsha is a mobile developer, and Venkat is a in-house rules expert. He has been working with rules engines, integrating them with CRM systems for quite some time. And I spent a lot of time in product management and engineering as well. So in the next 45 minutes as part of this session, what we will do is we will show some real-time examples and walk you through what we have been doing as part of leveraging decision microservices to be able to automate a number of processes and to build in some intelligence and to take away the thinking process from the commercial teams and marketing teams. Especially when we are talking about consultative sales, it's all about asking the right questions at the right time and making sure that the lead or the prospect is going through the cycle in a consistent way from a sales funnel perspective. So we will walk you through some real-time examples, and hopefully you find this interesting and would love to be part of this community. Next slide. So just to share a brief backdrop about this, right? Across industries, the sales process can look very different. In certain industries, there is no concept of a lead, but in general, whether we look at a lead, whether we look at an opportunity, or any entity that we want to really do business with, we want to be able to, the commercial teams want to be able to track all these leads and opportunities very carefully in a consistent way. And below is one example, a hypothetical example where there could be an initial discovery session trying to understand what the needs of the customers are. And then once the discovery session is successful, the customer may say, well, you're ready for a demo, or the team internally might think that the customer is ready for a demo. And from there to a proof of concept and closing the opportunity, or it could be about losing an opportunity depending upon what happens. While this is hypothetical, this is a very realistic scenario in the software world or in multiple industries. So as we go through or take the leads and opportunities in the CRM space through this funnel, there are a few questions that we wanted to ask ourselves and that we have been seeing a lot in the medtech and pharma as well. So first question, how can we ensure that across the organization, every rep follows the same process to be able to move the prospects through the funnel, right? There could be new reps coming into a territory in a given geography, or there could be a new product line that's introduced, and marketing team may want to ask a set of specific questions before they qualify and move this through the funnel. So how do we bring in this consistency? A lot of training happens in a real commercial world. Like, okay, these are the questions. If this particular set of questions are answered, then let's move the particular lead or opportunity to the next phase. All the training happens, but as we all know, training may not be 100% successful because the reality is that the reps are always in the field. They have a bunch of things to do, and they may not remember every small thing. So which impacts the sales forecasting, which impacts the commercial processes. So that's the first question. How do we bring in consistency into this? How do we take the thinking from the reps and kind of delegate it to some decision maker. That way, the reps just execute the process and everything else is factored in. Second, there could be, again, sales teams. How do we, like I said earlier, how do we ask the same set of questions to be able to move this funnel? Are the commercial teams, the sales teams, asking the same set of questions before qualifying and moving a particular lead or potential into the next stage? How do we bring in this consistency that can aid or augment the training process as well? And the third thing is all around the content as well. So a particular lead or a potential in a particular stage might be looking for certain digital assets. If I'm doing a discovery session, I might be interested in certain set of assets. If I'm after that, from moving into the demo stage or moving into a consideration stage from a marketing standpoint, I probably want to see a case study from a similar customer. So how do we automate this and personalize this? Of course, more recently, machine learning and the personalization engines are coming into play. But then when there's no data to rely on, when the first time, or there could be compliance reasons where everything has to be very meticulously done, then what are the options for us? So these are the kinds of challenges that we wanted to solve as we are talking to our customers, and how do we ensure that the right questions are asked. So here is an example from a medtech industry perspective. So training wise, the customers, they could create a definition and what fields need to be entered and guidance for success. So how do we validate that the customer is successful? A new org is created, some commitment to make a decision. Do they have a specific budget in this particular quarter to be able to move that customer from one stage to another? So normally what happens is, from our knowledge, what happens is that rep in one territory could be taking a decision completely differently and thinking that, okay, this particular there's a higher probability to move this particular customer to a closure, and the forecast could be increased multiple times. Similarly, another rep in a different territory could be thinking another way, and the forecasting would be impacted, like I mentioned earlier. So these guidelines for success could be shared with the reps in a theoretical way. But in addition to that, how do we automate this and how do we bring them to life is the problem that we wanted to solve. And this is like a real case example. So if you go to the next slide, what we did over the last 5+ years, leveraging open rules and playing around with it and decision managers, we've been integrating. We are primarily a CRM company, know CRM very well, all aspects of it, in the life sciences space, medtech, pharma, etc. But then we've also been working with a few other industries. Based upon our industry experience, what we wanted to do was, how do we integrate Salesforce and Veeva? Both of them, Veeva is a life sciences cloud platform. Both of them are awesome platforms from a CRM, and they do a bunch of other things as well. Both of them are really good. But then what we figured was, there is a need for an integration with a rules engine that could really automate a lot of decision making and make stuff more configurable. We use AWS, of course. The open rules engine can be deployed anywhere, but we used AWS because that's where we spend most of our time. So we use the AWS platform to integrate this decision maker with the CRM platforms and deploy them into the field. That way, whether they're commercial teams or product managers, they are able to take decisions more effectively. And we have seen some remarkable success over the last 6+ years using this combination. So next slide. What we want to be able to spend time, and since this is the last session, we thought, okay, let's try to make it interesting with some real demos and how we can show them. So going back to that first question of, we have this discovery and then we have a demo, these are the various stages. So how do we let the sales rep maybe assess a customer or even send out a questionnaire to a customer based upon various factors? If the score of that particular customer is greater than 80, then let's move them to the next stage. If not, they'll continue to be here, or maybe a further conversation is required. This is only an example, but what I'll request Sriharsha is to open up StoryPulse, which is a platform that we built that leverages the rules engines, and kind of walk through and show how this stuff works in real time. Sriharsha, if you can talk about Storypulse, that'd be great.
Yeah. Hello everyone. Now I will be explaining the how we implemented the solution in the Storypulse application. Firstly, Storypulse is a closed loop learning and assessment platform designed to help customer facing teams across various industries to assess, educate, and engage end users. Now we are leveraging Decision microservices to optimize consultative sales processes. Now I'll go to the use case. Here are the leads tab. So here are the list of leads which we are getting from the Salesforce, and I'll be sharing the Salesforce too. So I have opened the leads in the Salesforce. All the three are leads which we have in the Salesforce, and each of the lead has different statuses: open, not contacted, working contacted, close converted. Okay. To show the right assessment, we need to first select the lead based on the lead status and information. It will provide it as input for the decision manager, and it gives the desired outputs. So I'll be selecting Elaine Austin as a lead in the application. So here is the application. I'm selecting this as a lead. In the background, this application will gives the input, the lead information to the decision manager, means the our rules, Focal's rules engine, and it gives the right assessments. The right assessment has the right questions which need to ask with the lead. Now I'm wearing the hat of a sales representative and I'm selecting this lead, this assessment. On click of next, here are some list of questions. These will be answered by the lead. Selecting this after this. Okay. Now total 2 questions he has answered, and it took 11 seconds of time. So now we'll go to the next use case, lead qualification. It is a regular process where the it is a regular process only, but the company's admins doesn't know whether the sales rep asked the right questions or not with the leads. So to fix this thing, we are gathering as much as the information by deriving the questions in the application and getting the right answers from the lead. So on click of submit, whatever the response given by the lead will be passed to our backend. Internally, our backend contacts the decision manager and fetch the rules, gives the response as input. Based on the rules, it determines whether the lead is qualified or not. Here we are having one parameter called score parameter. It is formed based on the user responses. If the score is greater than the threshold limit, he will be qualified to the next stage, means the lead here will be qualified to the next stage. If the threshold is lesser, he won't be qualified. So let's see whether he's qualified or not. So on click of submit button, the data is going to on the backend. Now we'll just check in the Salesforce. So initially I selected a SIN, which has the status as open not contact. Wow. So here the Austin lead has been changed from open not contacted to working contacted, which means the score is greater than the threshold. In this way, we can ensure across the organization, every sales rep follows the same process to get the right results. Now, one thing, what is meant by score here? The score is a parameter which is a value which will be defined in the creation of the assessment. So as you saw before, each question has two answers. We allocate some of the value to each answer. Cumulatively, we add up all the scores and provide the final score to the decision engine. So all this process, it will be new to you. One of my colleague Venkat will be explaining you this process. Venkat?
Yeah, sure. Thanks, Sriharsha. And yeah, hi everyone. Firstly,
You
like I
can
would
share
like
your.
to, I hope you are able to view my screen.
Yes, Venkat. Go on.
Yeah, thanks. Uh, Firstly, I would like to talk about what is Open Rule Decision Manager. Open Rule Decision Manager is a like SaaS-based rules engine available on the AWS marketplace. It is used to create and managing rules based operational business services for modern enterprise applications. There are three components in the Open Rule Decision Manager, like creating business rules. First step is creating business rules, decision models with Excel and powerful like Open Rules engine templates. And in that templates, we can add sophisticated business decision logic. And the other one is like we have to test that Excel tested Excel, that ruled Excel, and after that, once the successful testing is completed, we can deploy this rule as a decision manager microservice on AWS on premise. Okay. Once once we subscribe to this Open Registration Manager on AWS Marketplace, it allows us to download AWS package. Uh, it allows us to download Open Rules package, something like this. In this, it come up with the predefined some sample projects. In this, we have Open Rules config, where uh, where we can install batch file is there. Once you click on install, then all the dependencies required to execute this Open Root decision manager will be downloaded into the our local machine. Now, if you're going to our current use case, lead assessment score. Okay, this is the each decision manager's decision manager microservice acts as one project here. Uh, Here, like lead assessment score is the one project. The key components in this lead assessment project is the rules glossary. As a business analyst, I have to focus on these rules, how the rules will be defined based on our own requirement. In our use case, our requirement is to uh, one second. In our requirement, our use case is to from iPad, we'll get the what is the current status of the lead and what is the scores obtained by taking the assessment. Based on that, then the result would be the future status, future lead that future lead status, like that is open or not, based on the current lead status and assessment score. If you take this, this is very simple. This is a rule template. This is very simple. Anybody can create their own rules by using some basic arithmetic operations. It won't require much technical knowledge. Like if you take this example, this example template says like if the assessment is lead and current status is unqualified and the assessment score is greater than 20, then it gives the response and the response as open not connected. This way we can define any kind of rules. Like we can create more complex rules also. This is like one kind of rule. After that, a business analyst create configure these rules. They have to uh, set up. They have to set up glossary object. Glossary is nothing but uh, the user defined object where like it will where it has the like parameters which will be used in the rule definition. In our case, lead assessment is the object, like we can give it any name. Lead assessment is the object. In that we have assessment type, status, assessment score, future status. These are the attributes of these objects. Here we can give any name, and we can give any number of objects here. Once this glossary is defined and the rules will be defined, and then we have to come up with some test scenarios. Uh, everything will be in the everything will be dealt with Excel only. That is most user friendly. In this, like we can give the some like data. What is the lead? What is the current status? What is the assessment type? What is the current status assessment score? What is the expected outcome? Uh, Once all this configured, we have to uh, build the services. Once project is built without any errors or any exceptions, all the test cases are passed. Then we have a one option in the it bundle this deploy lambda. Everything will be bundled come up within this open source decision package. Once we click on deploy lambda, then this service will create a lambda, and it will deploy the uh, .zip file in the S3 bucket, and it will create all the resource required on AWS front, and it will create a API gateway, and it will append that lambda to that API gateway. Everything will be configured in the project.properties file. Like what is the client ID, is client secret, what is the S3 bucket, this like this lambda zip file needs to go to, and what is the goal. Everything will be in the configured in the project folder, project file. Once the lambda is successfully like deployed, we'll get this kind of URL. We'll get this kind of URLs. Like in our example, this is the actual lambda API URL, which is iPad is hitting. In this, this is the object. As I mentioned in the glossary, this is the object name. These are the parameters. Now we are giving assessment type is lead, and status is open not contacted, and assessment score is 41. Then if we hit this API URL, it gives the response.
It's
You
waking
see
up.
in the
Takes
response,
time.
sorry.
Yeah. Click again, it would be much faster because it's already woke up.
Hello.
No, go.
Yeah, go ahead, Venkat. We can close this one. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. In the response, it gives the future status working contract. It is aligned with the rules mapped in the Excel template. Like you see in the current status open not contacted, and the future status working contracted. That means it gives the working contracted. If you change the assessment score, yeah, then it gives the future status is null. That means it won't satisfy anything. Then lead will stay in the same status. This is all about how the like backend will backend work is done. Like once the iPad that URL, everything will be taking care of the open rule decision manager. Yeah.
Thanks, Venkat. So yeah, this is just an example, and we are able to build out a few rules. It could be mathematical equations, defining those rules, or it could be customer lifetime value. There's so many use cases that we are able to kind of play around with it. On the same lines, that is one use case with respect to kind of taking the customers or the leads or the prospects through a particular flow, asking the right questions, getting the scores, and kind of categorizing them accordingly. That is one aspect of it. And the second use case that we also see a lot of value and what we've been playing around with over the last few years is the ability to be able to present the right content to the right audience. Obviously, there could be a supervised model that could be done. And we tried, okay, what does a decision manager look like? And the same scenario, Sriharsha will walk you through using Story Pulse as an example. If a particular lead is in a given stage, what is the right content? So we are using that use case as well. So go on, Sriharsha.
So as you can see here, these are the list of leads. So I'm selecting one of the lead, Amanda James, whose lead status is close converted. So here the application will send this lead information to the decision manager, and decision manager will use the right content based on the lead information. So here is the content which I got from the decision manager. So this content can be viewed and shared to the lead. So by using the decision manager, all the sales teams can display the right content at the right time to the leads. Internally, the mechanism will be explained by the Venkat now. Venkat?
Yes, yes. Yeah.
Yeah. And we can keep this pretty light, Venkat, since the process will be the same.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, sir. Yeah. Same way earlier, like we discussed about lead assessment score. Same way we have one more rule like lead status assessment rule. In this also, like the same pattern. Like the only difference is rules configuration will change. Yeah. If you look at the template, it says like if the lead status is open and it gives the assessment ID, content ID, and description. This assessment ID and content ID is the like defined in the story pulse. So this ID is a relevant content, a relevant assessment ID. Based on this ID, the relevant assessment will be loaded on the iPad. As the same like the relevant content ID, based on this content ID, the relevant content will be loaded on the iPad. Here like here one this lead status is input and we are giving output as three parameters: assessment ID, content ID, and description. This works same as earlier, like everything is same, like glossary object and glossary object, test cases, everything is same. The difference is that this is one project, that is one project. Each project has its own Lambda API URL.
Yep.
Yep.
Thanks, Venkat. So this is another use case where we are able to bring in the right content, with the depending upon the stage of the particular customer or prospect or whoever the audience is. And that's been very helpful as well to be able to do it in a very quick way without building some large models and all. Right now, we are also experimenting. We'll talk about the next steps in a few minutes. The third use case where we've also been leveraging this decision management services really in leveraging in commercial events. So in commercial events, especially in the life sciences space and a number of other regulated industries, it's always very important to make sure that we are sticking with the adhering to the compliance rules in various countries. For example, a couple of problems statement pieces are: one, the IT teams want to scale out a particular events functionality where the sales reps can invite doctors, or in another industry it could be a different setting. The sales reps could invite somebody for an event, but then the budgets and all are limited. They can say that, okay, for this particular customer, they can only be a spend of $500, or for another customer, for whatever reasons defined in rules, there could be a budget of only $100 or €100 if it's. And companies, especially pharmaceutical companies or medtech companies, they want to be able to scale across multiple countries very quickly. So we've been working with one of the top pharmaceutical firms where we help them automate, leverage the decision management services, and be able to automate that decision making to make it easier for the reps to be able to give them thoughts on, have them go through a process very quickly. And also for the compliance teams to ensure that all the rules across various markets are validated. That way, everything is stringent. There are no rear view mirror mistakes, but everything is taken care of upfront. Because with what we did with the decision manager, we are able to roll out to over 60 countries very quickly, number one. Number two, we are also able to accommodate all the various regulatory and compliance requirements which are very specific to each market, and yet have a holistic solution built around Salesforce or Viva. That's been very impactful as well. Compliance teams are happy because the number of issues which are coming down the lane end of the year are going down. There are no additional fines and stuff which are being faced by the pharmaceutical firms. And the sales reps are happy because at the time of planning the events, or at the time of planning these interactions with their customers, they're able to ensure that all rules are validated, because it's impossible for any individual to be able to remember that. So this is another very, very beautiful use case that we've been using for over 4 years or so in large pharmaceutical and life sciences companies. Venkat, do you want to show anything here, or is it the next one? Yeah. So
Yeah.
yeah, if you want to bring up real quick.
Yeah. Just I want to show you the. Yeah. We have as a focal, we have implemented one UI where like each country admin can can log into this platform, and they can create rules rules for compliance issues. They can define compliance in the all the compliance in the form of rules in this platform. And here, this is the one simple example. This rule is saying if the country is AU and the event name is this, and event type this, based on the conditions, they can send some, they can set up some messages like uh, this event is the object from the Salesforce or any other platform. We can dump all the objects from CRM platform to this rules engine system. In this case, if you take event is the object and country is the attribute or field from the object. As like we can dump any number of objects from the Salesforce, and we can define rules on top of that objects and fields. Okay, in this example, we can add any number of sorry. We can add any number of conditions, any number. As I mentioned, this is the dimension is the object from the Salesforce. We can add any number of operational relational operators, is blank, matches, does not match, anything we can add, and we can define the conditions here. Once in this the system there are three components. One component is Salesforce, where it has actual events data and it related data. And the second component is the AWS microservice. The third component is the rules engine. Once on the Salesforce side, there is a event object event where usually they initiated validation from Salesforce. Then Apex code on the Salesforce side will initiate the HTTP call out from Salesforce to the rules engine with the payload of event data in the request. Like if you the payload would something like this. One second. A payload is something like this. Uh, event. This is the it contains all the event data and its related data, attendees, speakers, event team, something. All the related event information will be packed into one JSON, and from the Salesforce, that JSON as given as input. Then based on the country, the rules engine will fetch all the rules configured for the country and executed all the rules based on this JSON, and it returns the response back to the Salesforce. Like we have two kinds of responses: error and warning. Error is like typically a hard stop. That means if there is any error on the rules execution on the Salesforce event side, then the event status will not be changed further, because they have to rectify the data in order to make sure no rules are failed. If it is a warning, then that is exception. They can move forward. They can revalidate the data until all the rules will be succeed. Okay,
Thanks, Venkat. Yeah,
yeah,
so this has been very helpful to automate the rules and not to spend a whole lot of time. I know we are running out here, just to keep it very short. We will
yeah,
also, there are a number of, the last use case that we have been using this is around building out rebate engines. As most of you are aware, in the commercial space, um, rebates is a pretty big loyalty program to kind of retain customers. And what we've been doing over the last 6-7 years was leveraging the rules engine and the decision microservices to be able to automate and effectively compete. There are so many rules engines, so many rebate systems out there as part of SAP, as part of individual companies, but the pricing is just ridiculously expensive. And what we are able to come up with is, by leveraging this combination of the enterprise CRM platforms and Viva and bringing in, doing the integration work, we are able to uh, calculate the rebates based upon the customer's purchasing behavior. We are able to help customers really define newer rebate programs with a lot of complexity and still be able to tackle them very effectively and calculate the payouts for each of them, push them into SAP. That way, all the payments are taken care of there. So these are just wanted to share a couple of real life scenarios as part of this forum. This is what we are doing today. If you go to the next slide. So this is where we are, and we are also exploring ways to tackle projects where there is already enough amount of data that is generated. Number one, what if we've been defining the rules over a period of time, there's so much of data that's generated. Now, with the rule learners and concepts like that, how do we leverage this data and have the system or the ML identify a given set of rules? That way, it can augment what the users are doing, maybe for validation. So we have been doing a lot of work, more of prototyping today, not anything in production, but figuring out how Veka, which is one of the ML open source ML engine, can help us out build this. That is one aspect. And the second aspect of it is LLM. Everybody knows what is the impact of that? How can LLMs help in this decision-making service? What can we automate? So these are the things that we've been exploring, toying around with, to be able to come up with the next generation framework in terms of the decision-making service. Hopefully that gives you an idea of what we've been up to and what we are trying to accomplish in the CRM space specific to few industries. Happy to take any questions, any thoughts. Would love your feedback as well.
Okay, thank you, guys. Questions? Okay. Any questions? People tired?
Yeah.
Of course, it's end of the day, end of a long 3 days. I just want to make sure when you mentioned Veka, you're going to use Veka directly or using rule loaner from OpenRules?
Rule learner.
Rule loaner.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
You're familiar with this. Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good. Okay. So this is a good final presentation, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, Jacob, for having us. Thank you, everyone, for your time. Much appreciated.